All right, so now we're on to number 17. So in 17, we need to pay attention not only to the two numbers that I want you to focus on, which are these two. So I said before, you have to use those two numbers because I want to use those two numbers to solve for everything else. And then in this problem, because we're trying to solve for phi, we need to also use phi. All right, so the next step that we're going to use is because this is the angle that we are going to focus on here, we need to identify which sides of the triangle are which. So as I mentioned before, adjacent is the one that touches that angle. So in this case, this side is going to be our adjacent. Opposite is the one that does not touch our angle, which this would be our opposite. And our hypotenuse is the one that does not touch my 90-degree angle. All right, so we're set to go then. So we need to look at what we know and figure out if we want to use sine, cosine, or tangent. So I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA. So we have our angle, which is good. And now we are going to look, okay, so I have 20 as my hypotenuse. So what I've found that makes this really easy is that I underline the hypotenuse, H's. And then this side is our opposite. So I underline the opposites, O's. All right, so looking at this, if I want to know, do I need to use sine, cosine, or tangent? I know that I have to use sine because this is the only one that I know both of the things in it. So that makes it pretty easy then. Now I just write sine of my angle is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And then I just need to substitute in. So sine of my angle, and what is my angle this time? It's phi. So sine of phi is equal to opposite, which in this case is 7, divided by my hypotenuse, which is 20. And then this is where a lot of students get stuck because they know that this is correct so far, but they don't know how to get rid of the sign. Well, just like when you're solving problems, the opposite of addition is subtraction, the opposite of multiplication is division, we need to do the opposite of sine. And in fact, the opposite of sine is called inverse sine. And so I'm going to take the inverse sine of both sides. And inverse sine is just this thing that looks like sine to the -1. And I'm going to be lazy and just copy this. Okay. All right. So sine of the -1 of this and the inverse sine of that. So just like when you are canceling stuff out, now I can cancel this out. So I'm going to cancel the negative sign or the inverse sine with the sine. And I'll be left with phi on the left side. And on the right side, I'll have all of this. And that will be my answer. And if you look at your calculator, you have an inverse sine button. And so this will be what you actually are going to type into your calculator when you're going to solve the problem. All right, next we'll do number 18.